So today in the UK, it's still quite overcast. It's quite nice this morning, but it's kind of overcast again. But it hasn't actually rained, not greatly for the last couple of days or so. So what I thought I'd do is, get out here and test the moisture levels of the trees. I was quite surprised actually. They in the majority, they needed a good water, which is surprising because my perception is it's not been particularly sunny or that would be needed. But to be quite honest, I think what's happened is that it has been quite windy, and that has this massive effect on dehydration really. So I'm glad I kind of went and double checked everything. But quite surprisingly actually, some of the trees, one or two, didn't need watering at all. Some were, just a bit really, but some were mostly they were quite dry, and full watering was absolutely fine. But it's just trying to answer the question as to why is it that some just didn't seem to need much at all, where many of them needed a great deal of water. And basically today's video will centre on this fella. Just want to do a video today about where I've gone wrong actually, in terms of using a correct size of pot and what happens potentially if you don't. So the tree on the right is called Trompenberg, and it's got these lovely little leaves which are kind of slightly curled over, which is beautiful, reaching all the way back down to here. And so a cultivar I sort of saw a couple of years ago and really liked. But again, this is a couple of years old, and here's a tree that is suffering most definitely. So you can see there's some dieback from earlier on in the year, and the leaves look kind of dehydrated. Looks like they've had too much sun or something. Strangely actually, some of the leaves are kind of curled the wrong way, like this one here. So there's clearly something wrong. There really is. So essentially the new growth on this tree looks really dehydrated, and I think perversely, and again this is all down to me, because on this channel I'm not trying to sell anyone a tree or anything like that. I don't mind sharing where I've gone wrong. That's all the benefit of experience really, isn't it? But I think because I've so overpotted the tree and it's been ludicrously wet this year, that effectively the root system has got so wet it can't function properly. There's no air around the roots, it can't breathe. I've drowned the tree. And I have potted this in here, but I've lifted this out of the much bigger pot that I put this in, rather stupidly. But if you can see, that's the roots. It's only the sort of central portion around here that's actually roots. Well, I'll show you in a minute another tree that I've had for 1 year, a year and a half, and that's in a much better state of affairs. So I think very perversely we've got a situation where the roots have become so waterlogged they can't function. They therefore can't pass nutrients and water, particularly up to the leaves at the top, around the tree generally, and they're kind of getting dehydrated even though the tree's got too much water. How weird's that? But I think that's a reasonable assumption. It's something I've kind of read, but I do like to sort of show you when things go wrong, because it's all right talking about this, but actually seeing it for real I think is valuable. So if your tree, just to add, this tree has actually been in loads of shade, which perversely might have been making it worse, because it's meaning that the compost doesn't dry out so frequently. I put it in a really sort of shady, wind-free area to kind of look after the poor thing, and I'm probably making it worse because I'm stopping things drying out, thinking that actually there's wind damage or something crazy like that. So what I've done to remedy the situation is I put it back into a much smaller pot, What I was doing using a great big one, I don't know. Just a bit crazy, really. But if anything, in the last couple of years I've owned this tree, it's gone backwards. So I hope that I can save it. I'm going to sort of monitor the water levels in here quite carefully. In fact, I haven't even put any water on this yet. I'll water it quite sparingly to water it in to try and dry the existing compost out. It is trying to grow some new growth. You know, it's doing its best. But the poor thing's really, really struggling. So to sort of contrast that with this, one of my favourite cultivars here, Kushimo, and while we're here, we might have a little close look. The sun's come out, so it's looking lovely. Little curled over leaves. Just a fantastic cultivar, actually. Hundreds of years old. I mean, I don't know why this is not more in fashion. I mean, you know, perhaps it will do. Perhaps channels like this will make that happen, I don't know. But it's a beautiful little tree, and it's really vertical as well. So if you've got sort of vertical space but not too much, you know, sideways space or horizontal space, it's a thing of beauty. It's lovely. Now if you look at this tree, which is only just over a year old since I bought it, it has absolutely been fantastic. I do apologise, a year and a half. It's about a year and a half years old. But in contrast, this one's really struggled. I know it's a different cultivar, but you know, not everything's equal, but that's the look of that one. This thing is doing ever so well. And indeed, if I just show you in here and take this away, what you can see is the root system, which is a kind of, you can see it's going round. It's not pot bound yet, that's absolutely fine. It's actually quite heavy. And that's a good sign too. I know I've watered it recently, but you know, there's a lot of root in there. So I think where I'm getting to with this is that it's all right looking at the top of the tree and thinking, well, everything's great, but once in a while, just grabbing a plant, lifting it out, and sort of seeing what the roots are doing is really, really valuable. It may be that it's really, really pot bound, and you might think, well, I need to root prune, or I need to transfer to a bigger pot. That's really handy. But if, like on this one, and I'm not going to wreck it, but you pull it and actually the roots, you know, everything's coming away, that's a poor root system. So you can see that all the roots on the Kushimo do kind of reflect the height of the tree. Obviously this isn't in the ground, so that's going to be slightly restricted by the pot, but by the winter, because it's going through its sort of second growth spurt. If I show you up here, it's really nice actually. It's got some new growth for the season, which is lovely. But going to that growth spurt, those roots are going to curl around that pot, and as was recommended by those lovely people I know down in Dorset, they're going to kind of insulate the plant from the outside. It's going to insulate itself really for the winter, which is great. So if some of the roots on the outside get slightly sort of frost damaged, then the inside, you've got a solid mass of roots that's really going to be protected. Where this one needs more TLC, and I do hope, and we'll perhaps keep an eye on this one in future videos to see how this poor fella does. But at least I know where I went wrong. You can see sort of, this is the graft point here, and it's sort of, there's a lot of spots on it, lots of callousing and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure what's happened there. Kind of perversely glad that it has, so we can show what's happening. So I hope that's been useful. Again, this channel's not just about, oh look, isn't that lovely, but kind of when things go wrong, so we can learn from it. If anyone's got any other ideas or thoughts, or can agree with me or disagree, that's great. Please leave comments, because you know, it's all about learning from experience, as I say, really. But yeah, thanks for viewing, and we'll no doubt see you soon. I think these sort of instructional videos go down really well. So we've got some warm weather coming up in the UK, and we'll be talking about that very, very soon. So I really hope you're enjoying the content of these videos. If you are, if you could like and subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. And please hit the notification bell as well, because that way you'll know when I upload more. I'm really, really pleased with how things have progressed, and this little channel sort of growing quite nicely, really. So thanks to all those that subscribed already, and a special thanks to all those that ask questions or, you know, have ideas. And please let me know if you want any more different content, because we can do that. And I hope to see you soon in another video. Cheers.